Hello, yes, we're doing a Beatles album tier list. I think you know the deal, you know the gist. So I'm going to be ranking all of the Beatles albums based on my opinion in this tier list. All I want to say first is just, I'm going to be ranking these relative to each other. So if it ranks low, it's because I think it's lower compared to other Beatles albums. This is based on my preference with Beatles albums. Everyone's going to have their different preferences. So without further ado, let's get started with the ranking. Although first I'm going to put these in chronological order because otherwise this is going to annoy me. Please Please Me is an amazing album. I love this album. It's sort of like a live album basically, mostly recorded in one day. A lot of first takes used. There's some really great songs on here. I Saw Her Standing There, it's iconic. Please Please Me is great. There's a Place is a personal favourite, and I also like Do You Want to Know a Secret. The covers are really good on this album. Obviously there's Twist and Shout, but it's also Baby It's You and Anna. So overall, can't really fault this album much, but it doesn't really compare to their later albums, so that's why it goes in C tier, even though I love the album. With the Beatles is also going to be in C tier. I put it on. I think of it as at the same level as Please Please Me. They had a bit of a different approach to it. It was less of a live album, and it was approached more like a regular album. Just like Please Please Me, it's a mix of originals and covers. This album, of course, has All My Loving, which is one of the best early Beatles songs, and also the opener, It Won't Be Long, is also fantastic. There's some really good covers on here, like Please Mr. Postman or You Really Got a Hold on Me. So overall, I think this is a really enjoyable album. Some would say it's not quite as good as Please Please Me, which is fine, but for me it's just kind of the same tier. So let's move on. So Hard Day's Night, I'm going to put this in B tier. This is a really good album. There's no covers on this album. It's all Lennon McCartney originals, which obviously helps. Just some of the best early Beatles songs, some of the best Beatles songs, full stop. The title track, A Hard Day Tonight, is obviously great. And I Love Her is amazing. If I Fell is great. Can't Buy Me Love. Things We Said Today. Yeah, it's a really good album. And it's very consistent as well. It flows well from front to back. There may be some weaker tracks like I'll Cry Instead, but overall it's not really. This album doesn't stagnate. So next up is Beatles for Sale, which I'm going to put in C tier. Once upon a time I would have put this in D tier, but I do really like this album. But it is a step down from A Hard Day's Night, that's pretty obvious. I think, they had it so that they had to release 2 albums a year. So this is an album they kind of did because they had to. But they were very exhausted and busy with their touring. So they used a lot of songs that they kind of had in their back pocket, and also there's a lot of cover songs on here. In fact, I think it's the Beatles album with the most covers on it, but the covers aren't that strong on this album. I think it's just because they went for pretty safe songs, very rock and roll type songs, not as good as the covers on Please Please Me or With the Beatles. But I do like the originals on here. I like that they're kind of a lot more moody. No Reply is fantastic. 8 Days a Week, it's a really solid single. I'm a Loser and I Don't Want to Spoil the Party are great songs as well. So, overall it's a good album, but, it's one of the weakest. So I think I am going to put it in order within the tiers. So yeah, this is weaker than these two. So next up is Help, which I am going to put in B tier. I mean, it's got Yesterday on it, so it kind of it can't rank too low, can it? The only thing about Help is that it's very inconsistent in my opinion. You've got some amazing songs on here. Yesterday, I've Just Seen a Face, Help, Ticket to Ride, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. But then there's tracks that are a lot weaker, like Another Girl, It's Only Love, Dizzy Miss Lizzie. So that makes it kind of not flow very well as an album compared to A Hard Day's Night, for example, which is why I might say that A Hard Day's Night is a better album, but I still love Help. So next is Rubber Soul, which I'm going to put in A tier. Some would put it in S, which is fine. But yeah, I think it's a fantastic album. With this album, you have the Beatles. It's not really an experimental album, but there's a little bit of sonic experimentation and exploration. You've got some sitar on Norwegian Wood, and you've got that buzz bass on Think for Yourself. Overall, this album has kind of a psychedelic folk feel to it, kind of similar to The Byrds. And this album just has some amazing songs on it. Norwegian Wood, In My Life. Michelle is a song I really like, although not everyone likes it, but I really like it. Drive My Car, Nowhere Man, If I Need Someone. Just really good songs. Some of the songs that people say are weaker, I personally really like. For example, What Goes On, which I think is one of the best songs with Ringo on vocals. Closer, Run For Your Life. A lot of people don't like those. A lot of people don't like that song, but I personally do. So yeah, I love this album. I just don't put it in S tier because I think S tier is reserved for my personal favourites. Speak of the Devil, Revolver is definitely an S tier. In terms of its sound, it's just incredible. Especially the guitar sounds on this album, I always think are amazing. There's even more sonic experimentation on this album, especially on Tomorrow Never Knows, the closer. This album has 3 George Harrison songs, which is a mark of a good Beatles album when it has good George Harrison representation. And the opener, Taxman, is just one of the best Beatles songs, just full stop. Eleanor Rigby is iconic. I'm Only Sleeping is fantastic. She Said, Andrew Bird Can Sing. I could go on. It's amazing from front to back. It's an easy S tier for me personally. Sgt. Pepper, I'm going to put in A tier. I like it more than Rubber Soul, but I know it would be controversial to not put it in S tier. A lot of people say it's the best Beatles album. It's just not my personal favourite, but it is amazing. It's iconic, it's influential, it's a very important album. It has some of the best Beatles songs on it, like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds and A Day in the Life, and also Getting Better is a personal favourite. The title track is obviously great. So yeah, I think this album is amazing. I like the concept vibe. I know it's not really a concept album, but it's concept-y-esque. And you've got some really interesting songs on here, like Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite and Within You Without You. Those are some really interesting songs. So you've got a nice mix of styles on here, which is always good. Next up we have Magical Mystery Tour, which is a soundtrack album. I'm going to put this in B tier. I think if you like the more experimental, darker side of the Beatles, then you'll really dig this album. But the thing about it is that it was a US only release. The first half is a double EP soundtrack, and the second half is just a compilation of singles. It doesn't really flow very well as an album. The second side is just a compilation, so I don't really listen to it because I don't really think of those songs as album tracks. But I listen to the first half from time to time. I Am the Worst is just one of the best Beatles songs ever. And Fall on the Hill is a bit of an underrated classic. So it's always fun to explore the double EP part of the album, even if they're not necessarily some of the best Beatles songs ever, with a couple of exceptions. So I can't rank this too highly. Similar to Help, it just doesn't flow very well. I'll put it higher than Help just because it's got I Am the Walrus. Is it Hard Day's Night better? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's the same tier. So okay, so next is the White Album, which I'm going to put in S tier. I love this album, and I think it might be my new favourite Beatles album because listening to this album from front to back, it's just such a journey to go on because the songwriting is great from front to back, but the thing that makes it stand out is that the Beatles just don't hold back in terms of creativity on this album. I think it's because they have so many songs on it and it's so long that they can just try any ideas. A lot of these songs just wouldn't have made it on a single album. And I guess I just pick out some of my favourites, although it's hard because it's such a big album. But Martha My Dear is a personal favourite. While My Guitar Gently Weeps, obviously amazing. Blackbird, obviously. Julia. Everybody's Got Something Tied except for Me and My Monkey. Back in the USSR, obviously. I could definitely go on and on with tracks that I really like. But the whole album is great. I think whether you like this album or not, it depends on what you think of some of the weirder tracks, especially Revolution 9, as it's about 6 minutes long. But personally, I like Revolution 9. I didn't used to, but now, I don't know, I enjoy listening to it. I just do. And I don't think the White Album would be the White Album without Revolution 9. So yeah, Yellow Submarine is next, and I'm going to put that in D tier. I mean, it doesn't really count because the second half isn't a Beatles album, it's a George Martin soundtrack thing. And also, 2 of the tracks in the first half were already on Beatles album, appeared before in some release. The new original Beatles songs that you have, there aren't many of them, but they're pretty interesting. You've got Hey Bulldog, which is incredible, and Only a Northern Song and It's All Too Much are very interesting George Harrison songs. So those songs are definitely worth checking out, but they're not necessarily among the best Beatles songs. Although, I mean, Hey Bulldog might be. But overall, I kind of have to put this in D tier because, there's just not much point in listening to it. I'll probably never listen to the album from front to back. I just occasionally listen to some of the songs from it that I like. Abbey Road, S tier, of course. Sonically and production-wise, it might be the best Beatles album. The songs are great from front to back. In the first chunk of the album, I Want You, She's So Heavy is amazing, really heavy. George Harrison is on fire on this album with Here Comes the Sun and Something. Come Together is iconic. Oh Darling, great vocals on that track. Maxwell, I really like, and Octopus's Garden. I think with those songs that some people don't like, I think if they had been on a different album, maybe they wouldn't be as good as they are, but with the Abbey Road production and sound, I think it kind of raises them, elevates them to another level. Maybe if Maxwell had been on Let It Be, then it wouldn't have been as great. And then of course the medley just completes. And then of course the medley just completes the whole package. The individual parts of the medley might not have been great on their own, but together, it's amazing. Okay, Let It Be. Some people will always complain about someone putting Let It Be after Abbey Road chronologically, but it did come out after Abbey Road, so that's how it works. Let It Be as an album, I mean, it's not that strong, to be honest, especially comparing it to an album like Abbey Road. I think that the Get Back documentary made me appreciate this album more, but I think I enjoy those songs more in the context of Get Back rather than on the actual album. But this album has Let It Be, which is iconic, Get Back, which is an amazing song. I've Got a Feeling is really good. Long and Winding Road I quite like. Across the Universe I really like, but it's kind of weird that it's on this album, it doesn't really fit in. Songs like Dig a Pony, For You Blue, I'm in Mine, you could argue aren't the strongest, but they're still really good. So overall I really enjoy Let It Be, but it doesn't really hold up to some of the best albums, so I'm going to put it in B tier. So there you go, there is my Beatles album tier list. Let me know your thoughts on my ranking. Tell me how much you hate it, how much you hate every specific placement. Please do that. And also let me know where you would place various albums. I just kind of did this because I felt like it, so there you go. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.